Hello weirdos. So I sound a little bit congested because I am, and it's not fun, and I don't like it. I feel like all of this pressure up here, and I don't know what's causing it. So I'm gonna sound a little bit congested, but that's okay. So today, what are we talking about? We are going to be talking about all the books that I read in December of, not December, oh my god, January. So it is the 31st, and I'm calling it now. I know I'm looking at the books that I'm currently reading, and I'm like, I'm not finishing any of these, by the end of the month. That's not happening. Just because I'm not close to finishing any of them. And that's okay. And I've just started to start like a couple, which is an awesome idea. My nails look like this because it's the school colors. And I like to do it every time there's like a significant thing happening, like events wise, school wise, and that significant event is it's a new semester. So I did my nails in my school's colors. I read 11 books. I kind of had a crappy start. Have had a lot of like meh books, or books that I'm just like, I'm not feeling things. Oh, also, I have a new setup. I just bought this bookshelf. I'm so excited. I'm so excited when I bought this bookshelf. I will insert a picture of it in its full glory. Oh, I was so excited, and I was able to like add like little trinkets that I'm like, oh, when I have a bookshelf, like a real bookshelf, not the dinky thing that's been sitting behind me. So I think I might be filming from over here for now. Let's talk about the 11 books that I read. Ooh, so chilly here. It's a lot colder here in Boston than I anticipated it. We are going to go to the first book that I read this month, and that is Wicked Fox. This is by Kate Cho. This is about a young girl. She's a teenager. She is what is known, I'm going to call it a hooliging, but that's incorrect culture. Gumiho. Gumiho, so basically she is a nine-tailed fox. This is all based off of like Korean myths, legends, folklore. And she, every like full moon, she has to like drink like blood take people's ghee, which is like their life energy, and particularly male ghee. And she encounters this one boy. Stuff happens. It's inspired a lot based off of K-dramas. I don't watch a lot of K-dramas, but I watch a whole fuck ton of Chinese dramas, and I love it. I really like that like over exaggerated like storytelling and stuff like that. It's really appealing to me. So I was like, oh my gosh, this book is ticking all of my boxes that I wanted to tick. It's based off of mythology. It's like this interesting like modern like take. It's not gay, so okay, that's fine. But it's still gonna be like a romance, and it is like gonna be in this style, and I wanted to love it. I wanted to love it so bad, and I didn't. I just didn't. I was so disappointed. I was reading this and I kept like wanting it to like get better, and like it didn't, and I don't quite know what exactly was wrong with why I did not gel with this book, because I wanted to love this so desperately. So I think part of like some of the things that threw me off was like when it would end a chapter, you would have like some events that happened, and then the beginning of the new chapter would start, and I feel like there would be missing information in between the two chapters. I really struggled with this like throughout the book, and that was really frustrating. The chapters are really short, so you can easily fly through this. There was a point where I was like, okay, you could end this book. And I'm glad that it continued past that point, because I thought it made it a lot more interesting. There's a lot more like tension that is put between our two main leads. But I think the ending of the pulling off of the like reconciliation did not really work for me personally. It felt too rushed and too hurried. Yeah, when you have a book like this long where it's like I forget how many pages it is, but it's a lot of pages, like 420 pages. I wanted it to do more with the like mother's backstory, because there's like snippets and you figure out like what the mother's backstory is and like the relationship with the father. Like I don't know, there was just more that I wanted that I didn't get from this book. And yeah, it was really honestly kind of crappy way to start off my year. Damn, because I wanted to love this. So I think I wound up giving this like 3 stars. Yeah, unfortunate. Okay, next book that I finished is Heaven's Official's Blessing. This is the 4th volume. There are many cute moments in this. I don't quite know how to describe these books because I'm at volume 4 and I don't really know what I can disclose without spoilers. But essentially you have this one character who it's a love story, right? It's a BL, it's a love story between these 2 characters who one is a demon lord and one is a Heaven's Officials. He's like a prince. Don't worry about it. He's saying he's like an angel is like not correct either. It's really hard to explain, but he has essentially like that character, the Heaven's Official. The Heaven's Official is Xielan, and he is basically wandering around the world, like basically doing this like partial like retelling of like his life in like the past 800 years, and just like wandering around the world trying to do good deeds and like vanquishing demons and stuff like that. Obviously stuff got spicy. I believe that well, no actual like sex happened. There's just kissing and more of them realizing their feelings for each other. They still like haven't like admitted it out loud yet. And yeah, I just don't, I like, what does the back say? Reverend Monster feeds of the fear. I'm trying to remember what did happen in this book. Because these books are kind of told as like one long, prolonged story, there isn't a real like ending between like one book and the next. So yeah, the coffin thing did happen. That I had been seeing floating around the internet, and it was exciting to read that for the first time. Yeah, I like, I'm not loving Heaven's Official's Blessing as much as I love the like Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation. I don't know if I just kind of like need to push through it like for a first reread and then do another reread. I'm not sure. Maybe it's just because like I'm not in that fandom super much. But I am super into the Untamed fandom. I don't know if it's just like the writing. Maybe it's just I'm not familiar with the plot. Anyway, continuing on, we have Bomb Shelter by Mary Laura Philpott. I did not understand the point to this memoir. This is one of the many issues that I have with memoirs. I don't get them. I don't understand the point of why I read this book. So I read this book because my dog chose it for me. Because I do this thing every year where I read the winners of the Goodreads Choice Awards, and I usually like to read like an additional book, right? So this year I thought it would be fun if my dog could choose my additional book. And this is the one that she chose for me for like the memoir biography. And it tells a story about this woman who is a mother dealing with all of her own like issues, like medical issues, and also going through the journey of navigating her family's medical issues. Like her son like winds up like having seizures, and I just didn't get it. I just did not get it. I think some of like the metaphors that she was using in terms of like the bomb shelter really kind of encapsulates how she feels about her life and how she chooses to navigate her life. But yeah, this just was one that I was not connecting with. I didn't hate it. I thought the writing was like well written. I didn't have a problem with any of that. Just my problem is just kind of like, what is the point? Why am I reading this? Why do I care? And I just don't feel like she connected those dots for me. I don't know if it's just because I am not a mother. That made it really hard for me to connect to like those points. I am unsure. I think I wound up giving this like somewhat thing like a 3-star or something like that. I don't know. I really struggle with books like this, with memoirs. The memoir I am really excited to read though is I'm Glad My Mom Died. I've heard nothing but good things, and I'm really actually excited. That's Bomb Shelter. I'm very distracted, and also like going through these and like realizing that, oh, I did not feel awesome about these is affecting my mood currently. The next book that I finished was Master of Poisons by Andrea Harris. This is another book that disappointed me. I wanted to love this book as well. I thought the cover was very interesting, and I thought, knowing that it was queer and that it again is pulling from these different like folklores and traditions. This one is pulling things from Africa. I'm trying to give you a better. I'm not seeing anything on the back. So I wanted to love this. There were parts where I thought it was really interesting, but ultimately I just felt like it was leaving my brain, like as I was leaving it, like it wasn't sticking. And I don't know if it was just a poor decision for me to make to pick up like longer books, which I think just was a poor decision. I think that things would just happen in this book and just like we would just glide past them, and like stuff would be just told in a very like blink and you'll miss it type of way. And I think that I struggled a lot with that. Like you have one of the main characters who is the like at the start of the book is the Master of Poisons. He is banished. The reason for his banishing was flew through really quickly, that I don't quite remember it like off the top of my head, and it didn't stick with me. Yeah, so just stuff would happen like very quickly, stuff that was like traumatizing and like deeply emotional that I didn't feel like we sat with like long enough with the characters to really see like how they impacted the characters, and how that informed like their decisions like moving forward. Like I remember reading like this one like chapter, and it was just basically, I felt like an entire backstory of like one of the main characters told very quickly in like this series of a couple of pages, and I felt like we could have lingered there longer. And I felt like there were other moments where we just stayed too long on stuff that I felt like I didn't understand why we were like lingering. So maybe, is that what pacing issues is? I don't know. Unfortunate. I wanted to love this one too, and just did not. Moving on to the next book that I finished, which was A Closed and Common Orbit. This is by Becky Chambers. This was my shining beacon. I fucking love this book. This is my first 5-star of the year. I didn't cry, but I remember finishing this in a coffee shop, and I was just like, see these feelings that I'm feeling with right now? I was missing those. And some of the other books that I read this month. Oh my gosh, I was so happy. So this is the second book in like the Wayfarers like series. This is not following really any of the characters that we grew to love from the first one. You're following this character Sidra, who is the AI Lovelace, like, you know, the, no spoilers, but it's AI of this Lovelace, and she is dealing with this feeling of she was built to oversee a ship, and she's no longer in that ship. She is in a like walking form, and struggling with society. And to me, I was really like mapping on a lot of like autism, like feelings of that onto this character. That was just me. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but dealing with like those social pressures and trying to fit in and trying to adhere to what society expects of you when you just are not wired that way is really what I was feeling from that character. And you're also talking with Piper. You're following Piper, who takes in like this character of Sidra, and is almost like a mother figure / older sister figure to Sidra, as Sidra is learning to cope with her new existence. And you hear a lot about Piper, and Piper like Piper growing up. I don't want to spoil anything, but basically like up on this planet, and how she was. What does it say on the back? What does it say on the back? So it doesn't say anything about Piper on the back, which is fine. But just know that like half of this book is spent with Piper and in Piper's backstory, and I found that really compelling, and I really liked how they paired up and ended, and or how those two timelines, because you're following kind of like Piper in the past and like Lovelace in the future, and or in the present, and they like intersect at a point that I thought was really well done. And holy crap, Becky Chambers is becoming like one of my like favorite authors, and I'm really excited to pick up the next book in the series, which I have somewhere. I do know I bought it because I was so excited about it, and I don't know where it is. Oh, it's over on my shelf that is behind the camera, so you can't see it. So yeah, holy crap. Becky Chambers is batting 100 right now, or 1,000, however that metaphor works. I know baseball, sports. This next one I read is A Magic Steeped in Poison, and this one I thought was pretty good. It didn't like take my breath away or anything like that. This is a YA. You are the conceit of this magic is, or this magical world, this fantasy world, is like magic through tea. Like tea allows you to have certain magical properties. I don't feel like this was super well explained. I don't know if I'm going to continue on with this series. It ended in a pretty like compelling way to make me want to continue on, but sitting here now at the end of the month, I don't know if I want to. Yeah. I'm trying to like, what do I want to say about this book? So you have this main character, right? What's her name? She is like this like magician person, tea through tea. I think it's called like a Shengdong tool. Let me just read it. Shengdong Shi. She's a Shengdong Shi, and there is wait. Yeah. So she's a Shengdong Shu, and she goes to the palace because she has poisoned her sister. And she needs to find a way to cure her sister, and there is this idea of this like tea that will basically kind of cure anything. And she wants to find it and go to the palace to get it for her sister. And while she is there, she uncovers this like web of lies, or just not lies, just like a whole conspiracy. And you have the like princess who is set to inherit like the throne, and I found her to be very, very compelling. I liked her the most because in my headcanon she's gay. I'm pretty sure in like the actual book she is gay too, and I just found like the main character to not be all too compelling. I really liked a lot of the characters like around the main character. Like some of the friends that she meets, and the boy that she grows to develop feelings for, I felt were all very compelling, and the main character herself, and not so much. That being said, like, I mean, I still, like, enjoyed it. Don't know if I will continue on with the series. I think it's only a duology, so, I might, but I also haven't been running to, like, bookstores to go pick up the next book. The next book I have is this is The Dark Tide. This is by Alicia Jasinska. This one I also did find to be like underwhelming. I mean, there's nothing like wrong with it particularly, but I just felt like it didn't quite live up to the expectations that I had for it going in. So you have this like tradition where there are these witches that exist on this island, and they like rule like the island, and they have to basically the queen of the witches, who's also the queen of like the island, has to sacrifice a person that they love to the sea so that like the ocean won't like swallow the island whole. And you have this so you're following one of those girls, like basically the queen, And you're also following this like island girl who chooses to sacrifice herself over the boy that she loves, who is chosen as like the sacrifice to like the tides. And I think on the surface the idea is compelling. I just don't think the premise actually works out in practice in the book. I didn't quite understand like the timing of things between when the sacrifice is chosen versus to the actual sacrifice, because it felt like in order for this to like for like a love because like basically it's like a love story has to like develop every year between like the queen and like sacrifice, but I didn't quite understand like the timing, and I felt like while I was reading this book I felt like stuff was just happening quickly. I like how it ends. I think it's good that it ends that way, but like as a story that I want to read, I don't think that it worked for me. Because like in the back it seems like it's going to be like this like massive like epic love story, right, between like two women, like because it's lesbian, of course. I really liked how they depicted the sexualities between like the queen and like this person, this islander person. Really liked how she did that, the author did that. Thought that was really well done. So basically it says blah blah blah. When Lena, who is the island person, Lena offers herself in exchange for the sacrifice's freedom. The two girls await the full moon together. Against their wills, they find themselves falling for each other as water floods the island's streets and the dark tide demands its sacrifice. They must choose who to save, themselves, each other, or the island city, relying on them both. And I just don't think it ever rises to that love story like thing that it proposes. I think it's more like, if anything, like a coming out story for Lena, because do I want to spoil things? It doesn't. I like the way that like the sacrifice went, but I think the love storyness of this is very not what is promised. Yeah, it's really more about one character realizing that they're not straight, which is fine. It's just not epic sweeping love story like this is saying it. Yeah, like I feel like the two characters very much go on their own journeys independent of each other, not together. I'm just make myself sad. I'm not loving so many of the books that I've been reading. The next book is Like a Love Story. This is by Abdi Naziman. This book made me cry. I was sitting at a coffee shop, just sobbing because of my feelings. Yeah, I love this book. Holy crap. I think this book might wind up on like a favorites list. But yeah, I cried. I fucking cried. I love this book. I loved it so much. Okay, so what is it about? So you have these two. This is a love story. I really like the reference that the title is making. I really like it. I'm not going to spoil it once you read the book to figure out what that reference is. But you have Reza. So it's set in 1989. And it's about two gay boys. So guess what's on both of their minds all of the time? AIDS, 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 AIDS. People are dying all around them from AIDS. People that they care about. So know that going in. I knew that going in, and I was like, oh my god, this book's going to stab me. And it did. So just be aware. So you have Reza, who has newly like immigrated to America. He is starting in a new school. His family is Iranian. His mom is like newly remarried. His father was not too great of a guy. And Reza is gay and is having a real hard time dealing with that. He's very much the gay person who is like very much denying the fact that they are gay for a very long time. And that is firmly where Reza sits at the start of this book. And oh my god, he is very much a mood, and he is also very horny, yeah, I really liked how the author wrote that. So good. Okay, then the other person that you're following is, what's his name? Art. You're following Art, who is like the high school's like quintessential queer kid, right? Very loud, very proud about the fact that he is gay, like participating in like riots and stuff like that, and in like activism to like fight for like, as my books fall everywhere, to fight for rights, right? So that's where art is. And then there's a third component in this. You have the character of Judy, and Judy is Art's best friend. She is straight, so painfully straight to the point where I don't understand. Maybe that's just because I'm gay. But you have Judy, who is her uncle is her favorite person in the world and is also a gay man dying of AIDS. And Judy then meet Reza, who is a very closeted homosexual, but denying it adamantly, and chaos ensues. And I loved it. It is a very, very wonderful like coming of age story, but also a story about first love. I thought it was very endearing. I don't know how I feel about the last chapter in terms of like the epilogue, but I thought it was very like thematically like appropriate. Yeah, but it made me cry and was good, and I liked it so much. And yeah, shining beacon of January. I had such a depressing reading month. Oh my god. I just kept waiting for books to get better. Next book that I finished was Under the Udala Trees. This is by Chinego Operanta. This did what all these other books I was waiting for to like get really, really good. It did. You know, it starts off kind of slow. You're just like, okay, things are happening. Okay. I knew it was gay. I'm like, okay, give me the gayness, right? And it doesn't tell the story linearly, which I think kind of worked. At first, I wasn't really feeling it, but then as the book progressed, and very glad that I like stuck through like that first bit, because I loved this book. This book was really, really good. It made me feel so many feelings at the end. I was so nervous. I was so scared at the end. But yeah, this is another story about lesbians. Oh my god. Really worked for me. So this is set in Nigeria. The author is Nigerian. And there, what time is it set in? It's during a revolutionary period. It's like I want to say, is it also the 80s? Oh, this is gonna drive me freaking nuts. So it happens during like the Nigerian Civil War. I cannot give you a year. It's not happening. Right? You are following this like main character named Ijeoma. She's a lesbian, and she's living in Nigeria, which is a very homophobic country. What I really like about Ijeoma is that she knew in her heart that that's who she was, and that she could not change herself, that she's a lesbian, and no matter what she does, she can't change that fact. And there are times where she tries to adhere to like what society wants her to be, or what society dictates for like a role of a woman, and she goes along with it, but in her heart she knows that like it's wrong, and not for her. This is just such a stunningly like beautiful book, in a way like a tragedy, but also not. I mean, I think it's a tragedy because like sure stuff, you know, Ijeoma finds a way to make the life that she knows is true for her true, but I know that there are other people that are going through exactly what Ijeoma's going through, and does not work out, and it just is sad. And so that way, like in that way, like you know, like you kind of have that feeling like throughout the whole book, like so you have Ijeoma, right? Yeah, I don't quite know what else to say about this. Yeah, it was just really well done, and I'm very glad that I read it, and now I own it. I was so scared at the end. I was very happy. Okay. The next book that I read was Amari and the Great Game. This is by B.B. Elliston. This is a middle grade book. You know, I thought that this was fine. It didn't wow me or anything. It didn't really disappoint me on like any marks, but it also just didn't like, you know, blow me out of the water. I thought it was good. So you're following Amari. This is the second book in a series, in the Knight Brothers series. And you have Amari dealing with time was frozen, and she was the only one who experienced time, like was unfrozen when everybody else was frozen, which is very weird. So she spends a great deal of the book trying to figure out what happened, what is going on. At the same time, she is a magician, so she has, and the magician world is kind of like in chaos a little bit right now, and so is the regular world, the supernatural world in general. And she has to enter this game, and compete against somebody who she thought was a friend in the last book that turned out to be an enemy. In this book, she's kind of realizing that maybe they're not as much of an enemy. Yeah. I know there's going to be a third book in this series. I don't know if I'm going to read it. I read this book because it's for the, my dog chose this for the BookTube prize, not the BookTube prize, the Goodreads Choice Awards, for middle grade. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. Yeah, I think it's fine. I like Amari. I like her friends. Amari is able to display some major character growth that I don't think that I would have been able to display at her age, because she was bullied quite heavily in the first book. And in this book, she kind of has to make friends, become friends with some of her bullies. And I just don't know if I, at that age, like at age 13, would be able to do that. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think I would have that maturity. I don't think now I would have that maturity. I mean, I would have the maturity to, like, you know, play nice, not hurt the other person in the room. But I don't think I would have been able to be friends. And the very last book that I read is a memory called Empire. This is by our Candy Martin. And this, I think disappointed me a little bit. But today, as a reward for finishing grading, pick up the sequel. So was it really much of a disappointment? I don't know. So I really like the main character. I really like the idea of having an emote, what do they call it? An Imogen? That's not right. It's something. I'm remembering the name Iskander because I know that's right. But what the fuck is it? Imago. Imago. I like the idea of an Imago. I thought that was really interesting, and I really liked how that kind of played into the whole plot. I need to give you more of an idea of what the fuck I'm talking about. So you have Mahit, and Mahit is an ambassador. She grew up on like a society where they don't live on a planet, they live completely on space stations, right? So she's sent to basically live in Texcalanli, which I kept thinking of Tenochtitlan the whole time. That's all I could envision, even though they're not described remotely similar. The words just look exactly the same. And by that I mean they don't look anything the same, but they have the same shape, and I could not remove it from my head. Anyway, so Texcalanli is a massive city, huge seat of empire. They are like a huge empire, and they are like, you know, kind of like imperialist, you know, and they also like aren't cool with like brain like hacking stuff that basically an Imago is. And so she is sent as a replacement because the old ambassador died, and she's the new replacement, right? And she is figuring out, uncovering more of like what exactly happened. How did the old person die? What really is she supposed to be doing with this? Honestly, if I'm honest, mystery vibes. I like wasn't really here for the mystery. I didn't really find it too compelling, you know. The things that I did find compelling is the main character. I really liked the main character. I really liked Mahit. I really liked Mahit's relationship with Three Seagrass, because I was like, you two are fucking gay, and are totally into each other. Please fuck. That's all that my brain was doing during the entire thing, and they don't quite get there, which is why I think I picked up the next book, because I want them to get there. I want to see how their relationship develops in this one. And there were just parts like in the middle where I just kind of like lost the plot. It's like what exactly is going on? Didn't really get it. But I think kind of what kept me through was the characters, the character like interactions, and learning more about Iskander. And when the bomb was dropped about the fuck pile, I was very excited. I was very happy. Yeah. I am a simple person, and I like gay stories. I'm ridiculous. So, while I don't think this was like amazing, blow out of the water as it kind of like proposes itself to be, I did wind up enjoying it, and I probably will be reading the second one at some point. So, there you go. There are the 11 books. This took forever, and it's going to be a nightmare to edit. So let me know in the comments down below, were there any books that you read that you found were disappointing in the month of January? Because I found a lot of them to be disappointing. So, alright, have a wonderful rest of your day. Goodbye.